Tim, should we tell the listeners how to join the Golfweek Amateur Tour?
Yes, of course. We should probably do it now before we forget, though.
I agree. It's simple. All you need to do is go to amateurgolftour.net, click the Join the Tour button, and pay your local tour's membership.
Thanks, Chris. Membership for 2024 is open, so register today to join the oldest, largest, and best amateur tour in the country.
And remember, this podcast can be found on all the major platforms. So make sure you like, download, and share it with all your friends and family.
Chris, that's a great idea. Now, on to the show.
Well, Tim, Happy New Year. We're on to 2024. Like we say every year, can't wait to get the season started. See at least me as a golfer, what I can do to improve this year.
Yeah, I hope you had happy holidays and a happy new year. And first tournament's 3 days away, so we're ready to get rolling.
Yeah, it's gonna be here before you know it. I know some tours start a little bit later than others, but if you sleep on it, it's gonna get there a lot quicker than you think.
Yes, it will. So we got two good guests this episode. So let's go ahead and get it started.
Yeah, let's get it going.
Ladies and gentlemen, Golfweek Amateur Tour, the podcast. Talking about all things Golfweek Amateur Tour, including interviews with tour directors, players, and course pros. Now, here are your hosts, Atlanta Tour Director Tim Newman and El Paso Las Cruces Director Chris Rocha.
Tim, to continue the theme we had with members joining us, and talking about what their businesses, but not only that, but becoming more than just members for not only the tour, but for the podcast. We want to bring on Ryan from Meridian Putters, was at the national championship and was demoing his putter designs that he has. And, just being able to talk with him and kind of get an insight of what Meridian Putters actually is going to be something really cool for us.
Yes, let's go ahead and bring him in.
All right, Tim. So we got another one of our special guests that we're going to have for this podcast. Real excited for it. I know we've talked about it before, and we were wanting to get this guest on for quite a little bit now, but we were able to get him going. So we want to introduce from Meridian Putters, Mr. Ryan Duffey. Hi, Ryan. How you doing?
I'm great, guys. How are you?
We're doing good.
Thanks so much for joining us. I really do appreciate it.
Happy to be here.
All of our sponsors are actually members of the tour, and I know you're a new member, but why don't you tell us how you were actually introduced to the tour?
Sure. I actually, well, first of all, guys, thanks for having me on. Excited to be a part of the podcast. I met Dennis, sort of the lead man for the Golfweek Am Tour. I met him in Hilton Head at an event we were doing for Sea Pines and Harbortown. It was called the Lighthouse Invitational, and that was last September. And we had some discussions, after that event. And he said, "Hey, we have this national championship coming up in about a month at Palmetto Dunes, or I guess that's where it was headquartered." And he said, "Hey, I'd love for you to bring out your product. We like what you're doing. I like what the brand's all about." We had some great conversations, and I said, "Sure, we'll come on down. We'll check out this national championship." And to be honest, I didn't fully know what to expect. I was, I've been to Hilton Head. I've been going there for 40 years. I was familiar with Palmetto Dunes. I'd heard of the Golfweek Am Tour, but when I got down there and saw the setup and saw the event and saw the numbers, over 700 golfers on over 8 courses for week 1, the seniors for week 2, and everybody was taking it seriously. I mean, I remember the skins game, it was pouring rain and everybody came out and was playing in the pouring rain. It took me about 5 minutes to realize, I can get behind this tour. This is pretty sweet. And so we spent the 3 or 4 days at Palmetto Dunes for the regular national championship. Then we came back out for the senior tour, the following week. And it was a great experience. So many good guys on the tour. We met people from all over the country. Everybody was just having a great time. And that's what our brand is all about. So it really felt like, wow, this is kind of a match made in heaven. And spoke with Dennis a little bit after that event, and he told me about the podcast that you guys were doing, and said, hey, there might be an opportunity here to work together, and that's how we got to this point.
I'm really glad that you joined us. So the Lighthouse Invitational, that's a pretty big deal, here on the islands, and to be number one, to be able to play in that is huge because of the access that you get, but also to be able to play Harbor Town, and then to be actually introduced to the tour from that standpoint. I'm glad that you did it. I'm glad that Dennis was there, because when you were here for national championship, I saw over at the Hills course, you all were packed every day. It was great. We had a nice little setup over there. We popped up a tent. We were smoking some cigars, and we were just watching as guys came to the driving range and tried to figure it out. Then they would come over to the putting green and hit some putts. And, if they had a bad day on the greens, they were maybe more interested in our putters than had they putted well. So, we were able to help some guys out. Actually sold a couple of putters right on the spot, which was good. They made 5 or 6 putts in a row, and they're like, we'll take it. So that was encouraging, good feedback. But no, it was more just about what I thought was neat was just the whole attitude, the whole vibe of the event. It was really cool. It was my first time. And so seeing just the energy around the event, the excitement, everybody coming back to that main clubhouse to check on the scores, and to get the food, right? But mostly to check on the scores. It was just, I play a lot of golf, and that was by far the biggest event I'd ever seen coordinated in terms of just the number of players and the number of courses, and it just went off so smoothly. It was just a very impressive week. I mean, it's very impressive 2 weeks. And so, yeah, it was fun to be a part of it. It was great to get to meet so many people. And yeah, when Dennis came and was asking me about, this opportunity, I was, it was a no doubter for me. Chris, were you one of the ones that bought a putter on the spot?
I did not buy a putter. I did see the big tents, and it looked, there were guys there. Every time I looked over, there were guys there trying putters. But you had me working interviews all afternoon, so I wasn't able to go try putters. But no, right. It looked like a good fun, and I'm going through the website as you're telling us about this. The putter designs, they look amazing, but what really caught my eye is football head covers you have. Tell us about those.
Yeah. So, we have a great partnership with a company actually located in Georgia. And they make all of their head covers in the United States, which is very nice. That's a big part of our brand. Our putters are milled right outside of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Everything is done in our shop in Brookfield, Wisconsin. But the head covers, those are also made in the USA. And we have a very, creative designer on staff who he helps us design the clubs. But then when he gets a little free time, sometimes he gets into the head cover world. And heading into the fall, there were 2 football head covers that I wanted. One was just a head cover that sort of looked like a football that had the laces on it. So there's that one. And then I had him design a special one for my team, the Green Bay Packers, and it says "Run the damn ball," and it's literally if you look closely at it, it's an offensive play. It's the old Packers sweep. Sometimes I think they were throwing the ball too much. I was very frustrated. I said, "Make a head cover in green and gold that says "Run the damn ball," and believe it or not, that one sold out. I still have a couple of the football head covers hanging around. But yeah, a great partnership with a company in Georgia called EP Head Covers, and they've been with us since the start. And so when we get creative, or when we do limited releases or putter head covers for events that we're a part of, they're usually the guy we go to and partner with.
Oh yeah, I love the turkey bowl head cover. That was probably one of my favorites, and then the Dead Man Tells No Tale head cover,
the Christmas Vacation one.
Yeah, so that one got a lot of love. That's my favorite holiday movie, and I had a couple different designs that I was working with on that one. And the scene where they dig the tree out just resonated. I don't know, for some reason that just hit home, and I'm like, as he's driving back and looking at the car next to him, look, kid's a deer. I was just like, that's perfect. We gotta get that on a head cover. I've got a couple other ones for that movie that we might bust out next year or the year after. We don't want to, launch them all at the same time, but that was my favorite one. That one did. I think there's like 4 or 6 left. We sold that one around Thanksgiving. There must have been a lot of people watching that movie around Thanksgiving break because that thing was moving. But again, we try not to take ourselves too seriously. So, every once in a while we do it around the majors. And then when, golf season slows down in the fall a little bit in terms of, that type of golf, we try and get a little bit creative with it.
That's awesome. So yeah. Tell us more about, the putters, the processes that you all use and how to go about buying and or being fitted for one.
Yeah. So, meridianputters.com is the website. And right now it's all direct to consumer. We are in a couple of second swing stores and we are in a couple of local, if you're in Wisconsin, like the Nevada Bobs, those types of stores. But, we're working on getting into, the bigger box stores. But for now, right now, everything is direct to consumer. So you can go online and you can essentially build your putter. We just launched our newest model last week. It's called the Key West. It's a notchback mallet. We have a mid mallet style putter. We have the classic blade, and then we got sort of an old school blade. And that's sort of the stock family of putters. Everything is milled from a block of 303 stainless steel. So there's no casting. There's no forging. There's no 2 pieces welded together. It's literally a block of stainless that we take a CNC machine and just literally cut your putter from a block of steel. So these are very high quality putters. And, our secret sauce is the process is very automated. We have very little direct labor involved in actually making the putter. So what we're able to do is keep our costs down. So, these are very high quality putters, 303 stainless, machined 1-piece putters that start at $239. And if you want to, you can build them up a little bit. You can add some nicer grips. You can have them coated in different colors and the price point will increase. But my objective with Meridian was to make a high quality putter from high quality materials, do it in the United States and sell them at a price point that didn't make the consumer queasy, right? Or uncomfortable. Sometimes I see some of these putters out there and they retail or they sell at 500, 600, sometimes even higher. And I cringe because I know what goes into these things and I know how much steel's in there. I sort of know what these things cost. And so what I've tried to do is create a manufacturing process that makes a high quality product and deliver, the savings and the value to the customer, because I don't want you to feel nervous or uncomfortable when you're buying a Meridian putter. I want you to feel good about it. Take that money you save and enter a Golfweek Am Tour event. I mean, no, but in all seriousness, that's the mission, is to try and provide a high quality product made in the United States at a price that you can feel really good about.
Well, they're all the putters are they're good looking clubs.
Yeah, thank you.
But the question I have for you is, they're all named after South Carolina areas, and then you go to Key West. So you got the Charleston, you got the Okatee, you got the Tybee.
Yep.
How did you make that switch from there to all the way down to Key West?
All these places are near and dear to me, my heart. I've been going to Hilton Head for 40 years. My wife and I got married in Hilton Head. So when I thought of this concept, when I thought of this idea, I was actually sitting on the beach at Hilton Head. It was during COVID, and I had a machine shop. I used to own a machine shop, and we had done prototypes and 3D printing and all that stuff. And along the way, I had done some work with Nike Golf. Like 6 or 7 years ago, we had done some putters, we had done some wedges, we had done some drivers. I really enjoyed prototyping and working with those guys. I'm a big golfer, so that was a blast. Nike got out of the hard goods business, and when my business slowed down during COVID, I had machines, I had steel, I had people, and I had nothing to do. And so I was sitting on the beach at Hilton Head, and I'm like, I want to get back into the putter game. I reached out to some of my old contacts at Nike. One of them was still designing clubs, and he was like, I'd love to be a part of it. He helped me sort of get 4 or 5 concepts from, drawing them in the sand to actually, on a CAD and into a computer. And I just started naming them after beach towns that I had been to that sort of resonated with me, that felt right. And then this last year, we came up with a putter that was, we call it, all business in the front and kind of like a party in the back. It's a notchback mallet, so we were like, Key West kind of feels, I love Key West. So I was like, God, this is just a little different. This thing's a little funky looking. It's a little out there. I'm not sure how the public's going to react to it. And so we tried to have a little bit more fun, and as we release more putters, we're actually working on a couple more. The towns will start to spread to different regions of the country. But yeah, the Key West is just, you'll see it, when we're at the, Southern Icebreaker here in a couple weeks. It's a notchback mallet, sort of a fang looking putter. It's all one piece, which is really unique. It's a big piece of steel that we've machined down to a really sleek look. And, like I said, if you look at it face on, it looks like your stock putter, but if you look at it from up top, it's crazy. And so for some reason, Key West just hit home there.
Yeah, like I said, all of them are good looking, but that one I really do like, how it looks.
It's amazing. That putter is, if you look at it from the top line, it's a blend of our Charleston, which is our blade, and our Tybee, which is our mid mallet. So if you look straight down at the Key West, you can see both of the elements of that putter kind of combined in there. And then because that would be so darn heavy, we had to remove some material. So we created a negative space pocket in there to help with alignment. And we were actually kind of thinking about like a race car when we were doing it. We wanted the putter to feel fast, not bulky, not square and slow. So we tried to make it feel sleek. And so, it took a lot of design revisions, and it was making a funny noise when we first made it. Like we'd hit the ball and it would ping a little bit, like a higher pitch. And we were all like, what was that? And so a lot of testing. It took 3 or 4 months of testing and tweaking and modifying until we finally found the right, not to get too technical, but the right design that, spread the sound over the length of the putter. And we really like where it ended up.
That's awesome.
Now, if people are going to buy one, should they already go and know what they're looking for to like custom make it? Or do you just have stock designs out there?
Yeah. So you can go and, if you just hop online, you can buy any one of the models. You can hop on and start to just sort of build your putter. You can choose, obviously, right-handed or left-handed, heavy or light. All of our putters are either in 330 grams or 370 grams. You can choose the shaft length, from 33 to 37. If you're really tall, we can go a little bit longer, or if you're shorter and you want something shorter, you just gotta let us know. We have to special cut those shafts. So you can choose, the shaft length, you can choose to have it coated. If you want it to be a black PVD finish, we offer that. Otherwise, we offer a stainless, just literally the steel putter itself. Or we could do something kind of cool. We can oil can it, where we literally set it on, we set it into a flame and the putter will turn kind of this cool gold. And then we'll drop it in oil and you'll get kind of this rustic, like gold finish. So you can build your putter, however you want. Now, if you want something really special, you can just contact us on our webpage, and we actually have a putter print, literally like an engineering print that we'll send you. If you say, hey, I want to have custom coordinates, or I want to have it say my birthday, or I want to have something special on the bottom, we can do that stuff. That takes a little more time, and we'll actually contact you and make sure we're on the same page for that. But we've done big events for courses, like for the Lighthouse Invitational, we engraved a lighthouse on the toe of every putter. For some corporate events, we've engraved the company's logo on the toe of every putter. So we've done a lot of stuff. But that you actually have to reach out, and myself or another teammate will reach out and contact you. Just make sure we're pointing you in the right direction.
That's pretty cool that you can do that and really kind of personalize it like that. And, I would think that, most people that are going to personalize it, they don't really care if it's going to take an extra 2 weeks. If it's going to be for them, right?
And usually, and that's usually the case. You know, we have hundreds of putters on the shelf that are quote unquote our stock models. You know, a Charleston with a dot or a line. We have those on shelf. But if you say, hey, you know, all of our putters have a coordinate on the toe, which is the town that the putter's named after. Some people are like, hey man, I got engaged, you know, at Pebble Beach. Can you put the Pebble coordinates on for me? So like if we did something like that, we'd say, hey, that'll take like a week, maybe 10 days for us to get that into the pipeline and get that machine for you. So there is a little bit of extra time. When we black PVD coat something, that takes 5 to 7 days. But for the most part, I mean, we're turning these things around, even like a full custom job, we turn around usually in like 3 weeks. That would be like a long lead time for us. Right. Most of the stuff we can turn around pretty quick.
Yeah, I bet that oil can finish looks really cool.
It's a really, you know, no two putters are ever the same. We literally, we put them in an oven, we get them up to about 500 degrees, and then we take a blowtorch, take 2 of them actually, and hit both sides of the putter with just a super hot blowtorch. Steel temperature will get up to like 800 or 900 degrees, and you'll see the putter start to turn colors. And sometimes you can get like a cool rainbow effect. Sometimes, you know, it'll be more like a gold look. And then once it's at heat, you take it and you dump it, we have a big kind of a bucket of oil that we just literally like hang them in for, you know, 10 or 15 minutes. And the oil just kind of dulls everything out, just kind of smooths the look out. So you don't have any like crazy, you know, bright spots or crazy colors. And it comes out looking really, really clean, kind of an old school look. But yeah, I think they look fantastic.
I'm sure.
I mean, and if you think about it, the putter is a club that a lot of golfers use the most. I mean, I know I putt 2-3 times a hole. So if you're able to show those off, you know, 18 holes a day, your buddies are going to enjoy it. And it's something that you want to be able to show off, not just the same putter that your best friend might have because he putted pretty well when you borrowed it.
Let's take a quick break and hear from our sponsor, Srixon.
A great iron set needs more than good looks. It's got to be fast and got to be pure. But good looks never hurt either. The all-new ZX Mark II irons from Srixon.
Exactly. We're 3 years into this, so people are starting to, you know, like, oh, Meridian, I've heard of you, or I've seen a guy, I've heard, you know, like we're at that point right now. We're still obviously new to the market. We're still growing. But yeah, we've seen, you know, a little more name recognition out there. Being a part of this tour and coming to some of these regionals, which we're really excited to do this year, and introducing our brand to, you know, we're kind of known in the Southeast and the Midwest, but maybe heading out west and heading to different parts of the country for some of these events. We're excited about the opportunity to do that and continue to sort of, I don't want to say push our brand, but, you know, grow and you know, enter different markets. That's a big part of, you know, 2024 for us.
Yeah. And Chris, you got to get that 2 or 3 times a hole down to, you know, 1 to 2 times a hole. That's part of the problem.
I'm trying.
Right, I'll talk to you, Chris.
Hey, if I had a putter that, like you said, that gold, that oil can finish. I mean, I was looking on the website. I may putt 4 or 5 times just to show it off. It looks great.
If you're gonna 3-putt, you might as well 3-putt with an oil can, right?
There you go.
You might as well 3-putt with style. You know, they say you dress to impress. Like, hey, I'm gonna putt to impress, and you know, use it for the full advantage.
Yep, absolutely.
What's the most popular model right now?
The Charleston, which is our blade putter. That is, you know, I mean, that's everybody's got a blade putter. You know, Scotty's got his Newport. Ping has the answer. Everybody has their blade model. Ours is the Charleston. I think it's just the putter most golfers are familiar with, and so that tends to be the number one seller. You know, but there's a lot of things that, you know, it seems like a simple putter, but as I tell people, like, there's a lot of ways to make that putter your own. You know, there's 330 grams or 370 grams. You know, if you play on fast greens, and a lot of people get this wrong, but like if you play on fast greens, you actually want a heavier putter because you want to have a more controlled, slow stroke. So I tell guys, like, listen, if you play fast greens, go to the 370. If you got to hit your putt, if you're playing slow greens, then you want a lighter putter that's easier to keep on pass. So you want the 330. We offer that in a face balance. We offer that in a mid slant. We offer that in a plumber's neck. So even though it's like, oh, it's just like everybody else's putter, there's different ways to really, make it your own and to feel comfortable with it and to sort of fit yourself into a model. So, I mean, there's a lot that goes into it, but, short answer is the Charleston is by far, I mean, I think it's like 55% of the sales. So, some form of the Charleston makes up over half of what we sell.
And so, I understand the face balance one, but what's the benefits of the mid slant and the plumber's neck? What's the difference?
So again, I'm not to get overly technical, but that's going to be an offset thing. So the mid slant, if you were to look down at your putter and try and see the putter shaft, how far ahead is the putter shaft of the front of the club face? So our mid slant is what they call half shaft forward. So half of our putter shaft, if you were addressing the ball, you'd see half of the putter shaft is in front of the club face. Half of it is right on top. The plumber's neck will be a full shaft ahead of the club face. So there will be a little bit more offset with the plumber's neck. Conceivably, that gives you just a little bit more time to sort of square up the putt. So if you're a guy that feels like, you're missing putts to the right and you need just that split second more to kind of square it up, and at address, it looks just a little better to the eye. The plumber's neck might be the version for you. And it's just a little difference, but those little things, make a player more comfortable. And what I tell people is putting's all about comfort. If you're comfortable with this look, you're going to make a better stroke. If you get up to something and are like, oh man, I don't like the way this feels at all. Well, then you're not going to make a good stroke and the ball's not going to go in the hole. But if that little difference makes you feel more comfortable and makes you more relaxed and allows you to make a better motion that you can repeat, then by all means, the plumber's neck would be the version I'd steer you at. So, even little differences, the weight, the grip, all that stuff matters. And so when we are fitting people, we'll be at the Hilton Head event coming up and then at the Vegas event in a couple of weeks when we are out there. That's what I'll tell people is 99. I mean, like most of this is find a putter that you're comfortable with. And then we can start to say, all right, what do you think about the grip? What do you think about the shaft length? But the biggest part is you got to be comfortable with that putter so you make a relaxed stroke that you can repeat over and over and over, especially if you're in a tournament, and there's a little bit of nerves, right? You want a putter that you look down and go, yeah, I feel good with this.
Right. Well, that's awesome. All right. Last question for me. You're up in the Milwaukee, you're up in the Milwaukee area. My guess is by now there's no more outdoor golf.
So I think 10 days ago, it was like 55 and we played, I think our last round of the year. Today it's like 28 and the golf courses are closing down. So, but anytime you can get around, you can steal around in December. That's bonus.
That's pretty
good. Usually we're shoving it down around Thanksgiving, but we had a stretch of like mid 50s not too long ago where we were able to take advantage of it. But where it really gets dark is like January and February up here is when the snow comes and, you're flying to Hilton Head or you're flying somewhere south to tee it up. We're almost to that point. So,
yeah, I was the tour director up in Milwaukee for a year, a few years ago. And, I love the guys up there. They're great, but, it's just too cold. It's just too cold.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
But you got a great tour up there. Edmund Rose, this is his first year. He's going to do a great job. You should ask him about it. He's a former professional wrestler, so you should talk to him about that.
Oh, all right. I did not know that. I'll have to make a note.
Yeah, he's a character. As I look at the putters and how you came up with these names, this is a perfect fit for our guys. I mean, these are our guys here. I mean, we're I'll just leave it at that. It's a family show. It's a family show. So
yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
I think so. I met a lot of the guys down there at the event, and like I said at the start of this, it just felt, it was, I got a kick out of the skins game in the pouring rain, and I don't think anybody bailed on it. And everybody was practicing and getting ready for the event. And, guys who love the game of golf, right? And Meridian is a brand that we love the game of golf. And, we want to be, associated with groups that feel the same way. And so, like I said, when Dennis first approached me, I didn't know what to expect, but very quickly I realized, hey, this is great. I want to be a part of this in some way. And so we're excited. We're going to have a presence at some of these regionals throughout the course of the year. We're going to be kind of spread all over the country here for 2024, but where the schedule allows, we're definitely going to try and show up and see guys play for an opportunity to get to that national championship. And we're excited to be a part of it.
Well, Ryan, thanks so much for joining us. Thanks so much for being a sponsor. And I look forward to seeing you in Hilton Head.
Yeah, we're gonna try and tee it up. We're gonna put pencil to the scorecard, and we'll see how it goes. I'm a little concerned, but we're gonna give it a shot.
No, don't be concerned.
You'll have a good time.
You'll be fine. You get it.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for having me on.
All right, take care, and we'll talk to you soon.
Tim, what a great conversation we had with Ryan and Meridian Putter. Putting is a huge thing that we've talked about before. That's the club that you're probably going to use the most on the course, unless you one putt every hole, which I don't even think the pros do that. Maybe occasionally. But it's great to see, to hear the work he's done and how far he's taken his company, and just the support he wants to give back to the tour with, his partnership with Dennis, and then now with his partnership with us.
Let's take a quick break and hear from our sponsor, Srixon.
ZX Mark II drivers are for major players, major winners, major power. All new ZX Mark II drivers, only from Srixon.
Yeah, and it's going to be good meeting him. Yeah, I'll meet him this coming week at the Icebreaker in Hilton Head, and then we'll see him again in Vegas in 2 weeks.
Yeah, I can't wait to try one of these putters and see. But I've had a good year with my putter this year, so I don't know if it's going to be tough to get me away from that one.
I think a putter more than any other club though is it's so personal. If you're putting well with one putter, like you said, it's very hard to change. But if you're not putting well, that's the first thing that goes, and then we start, having a putter collection. Right.
My wife's probably happy that I only have two of them when I could have a handful. I have a friend of mine who's one of our members that has, I think, a bag full of putters that he can't decide which one he wants to use. Maybe that's his problem. But yeah, it's one of those things. On mine, I upgraded the shaft just because it was a master shaft, and that's my favorite tournament. And it brings memories of me watching it with my pops and things like that. So it is personal. And it's one of the clubs that you buy a head cover for that shows your style and shows what you're about. Yeah. So not every other, you don't buy clubs for irons. Some people do buy covers for irons, but those are real generic as opposed to the putter covers where it can just show a symbol of yourself out there.
Yeah, exactly. But it's, like I said, it's going to be great meeting him.
Yeah. Everyone that we've met has been fun to hang out with.
Yeah.
We've had some stories with people that we've been on as guests and then being able to meet. So it's a good time.
Yeah. Most of the stories we can't, it's a family show. We can't, talk about too much.
No, but it's a good time. Well, we haven't had this next guest, Tim, on for a long time. As the season ended, we kind of wanted to give him a break. He's a great guest on our show. But now that the new season's about to start, we're a weekend away from the first Icebreaker kicking off the season. So we wanted to bring Roger back on our show to go ahead and let's just talk about golf and some new rules that may be coming up. Roger, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Glad to be back for 2024. The rules never stop, and I can always keep learning. And And I'm sure you're all those listeners. There's always something new around the corner. So glad to be back for 2024 and Happy New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year to you too. And I know you're a little under the weather, but thanks for jumping on and hope you had a good Christmas too.
I did. Listening to you guys say about Hilton Head and the icebreaker, I happen to have a timeshare, but it's always the 1 week later than the Hilton Head icebreaker. So I got to get that switched to a week earlier because I'll be there the following Saturday and I'll play some of the courses down there. So maybe this year I'll look at seeing if they can swap my week for a week earlier. But if you guys are going there, best of luck to you guys.
Well, I'll be there, but I'm not playing. Then the week after that, Chris and I will both be out in Vegas.
Nice. Very nice. All right. Well, Chris, I know you had, I think it was you had presented a question to me, and it probably happens in Vegas about what if a ball gets stuck in like a cactus tree or a seguro? Is that how you pronounce it? Those trees that are out there?
Yeah, they have all different names, but people usually go with that. But yeah, what would you do in that situation?
So, first of all, I have a family out in Phoenix, so I've had that situation. I've seen that, and to be honest, the first time I saw that, and I was like, "What the? Why is that? Why are those trees all pocked with these holes?" And I realized it was golf balls. It was just funny to see, and I was like, "Look at that!" So, first of all, you have to, if your ball hit him into one of those, you would definitely have to be able to identify that it is your ball, and I don't know if that's even possible, but I suppose it could be. And just like on tour, when you see the guys with binoculars and all that kind of stuff, you have to be able to identify that it is your golf ball. That's key point number one. And if it means, maybe it didn't go in high enough, that's so high that you could actually see there and walk up to it and see it. So once you've identified that it's your ball, you can play that under the unplayable ball rule. And the key on that is you identify it, but then, so your ball's 20 feet up in the air, and let's say you have identified it. Well, there are 3 different things you can do in the unplayable ball rule. And with regard to that one of them is that you can take lateral relief within 2 club lengths. And the rules do have in it that from where the ball is up in that tree, you put your spot for taking that relief directly under where that ball is on the ground. So, you drop the ball right down under the tree and then take your 2 club length relief as one of your options. And then your 2 other options are stroke and distance, which is always an option for an unplayable ball. Go back to where you hit it originally. And your third is the back on the line relief. You placing the ball, dropping the ball on the back on the line in line with where it's in the tree to where the hole is. And those other 2, the basic 2, are the ones you often think of, but the one that throws people off is when it's in the tree and you really want to be able to drop it right where that tree is, you just drop it right below the tree within the 2 club lengths. So that is allowed. That's like an exception in the rules that you're allowed to do that. That must happen pretty often because I saw a lot of balls in those trees when I was out in Arizona there.
Yeah, they're funny to see because even the ones near the tee box, they're just covered in holes, and it makes you wonder how those got all those holes so quickly.
Yep, I don't recall putting any in there, but I'd love to see it sometime. What is the when you go to Vegas? So you guys are playing in Vegas, or you?
Yeah, no, we're doing a live broadcast, but Chris is playing.
Nice.
Yeah, so we'll do a live broadcast on Saturday after the round and Sunday after the round.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, I hope that goes well for you. So yeah, that just so ball in and that's same with even if it's not a cactus, a regular tree. As long as you can identify it, you're able to take those three options: 2 club length lateral relief, back on the line relief, and stroke and distance for an unplayable ball.
Chris, you making you guys climb up the cactus and identify your ball?
No, I'm not making them do any of that. But we do make fun of them if we find out that they did hit it straight into the cactus.
That's awful.
Yep.
I did have another question that I saw on break about if your ball accidentally hits a club that's near the green. For some reason, this video said it wasn't a penalty, but I thought it was. Or did it change?
Because you threw out there that it changed, I can look it up. But as far as I'm concerned, it is not a penalty. It's not a penalty. That's my understanding of it. I'll follow up. I don't know if you want to include this in the podcast, but as far as I know, it's not a penalty. As long as it wasn't placed there purposely to deflect the ball, if it was an accident.
Mm-hmm.
Just think about somebody could have left the club up on the green from the last group.
Right. Your
ball hits that. You should not be penalized. That's how I like to think of that one. You wouldn't be penalized for somebody else's mistake like that. But if you place your clubs behind the hole and if you have a fast putt, you place your clubs behind the hole, and the ball would hit that. That was your fault for placing it back there, and maybe you're using it as a backstop. There could be a penalty assessed then because you used it as a backstop. So it kind of depends on the situation, but just an accidental deflection of the ball by an outside object like that would not be a penalty as far as I know in that situation.
Okay.
Yeah, that makes sense. Sense.
I mean, I figured it was legit because it was from the USGA homepage, but just wanted to make sure with our rules guy.
Yeah. Well, and you mentioned the USGA. I just thought I'd let you guys know. So I have a couple of fun things I'm doing this year. In March, I'll be attending the 3.5-day USGA Rules of Golf Workshop in Richmond, Virginia this year. They hold them throughout the country, and the one locally for me, the closest one's going to be in Richmond, and it's a 3.5 days of total rules instructions. It'll have, I think there's about, it's run by the USGA and the local Virginia State Golf Association, and a lot of the PGA professionals that are trying to get their PGA certification. They have to attend these to get points towards their certification. So there'll be some of those guys. There's guys just like me that will be there, and just like locals. So I'm looking forward to that in first weekend of March.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And it's good that it's close. For you.
Right. Yeah. And my son lives in Richmond, so and I got friends in Richmond, so I'll be able to stay with them. So it'll be a good time.
That's good. All right. So Roger, I got another question for you. So
there you go.
Let's say, you mark your ball on the green and you then accidentally drop the ball and it rolls into like a drain or a water hazard and you can't find it, so you can't actually finish the hole, with the ball, the same ball that you started with. What do you do?
So as long as it was not deliberate that the person lost the ball deliberately, let's say you picked up that ball and you got mad because you just missed a 1-foot putt and you hit it with your putter and you hit it off the green and it rolls into water, and that was deliberate. Okay. And you lose that ball. But let's say that wasn't the case. You just accidentally drop it and it rolls into a drain. Under Rule 14.3, you're allowed to substitute another ball as long as that ball that was lost was not deliberate. There are exceptions when you're allowed to substitute a ball, and that happens to be one of them. When you're dropping in a relief area, you can substitute another ball. And when you're playing like from stroke and distance, you can substitute another ball. But in the case, like you said, you lose it accidentally. Maybe you throw it to your caddy and he misses it and it rolls into a water hazard and you can't recover it. No problem. You can just replace your ball and substitute another ball.
Okay.
No penalty incurred. Yeah. And that's under Rule 14.3.
Yeah, I was playing with a guy in Hilton Head a couple years ago, and we're standing on a bulkhead, and he's bouncing the ball off the bulkhead, and it took a pad bounce into the water.
Yeah.
But would that be incidental or would that be on purpose?
Yeah, that's a tricky one there.
Or just stupidity?
I think it's stupid, but and I would say that's incidental. That's what I would say.
Yeah, incidental. Yep.
My next question would be, how much are we playing for? And then I'll make that decision.
Yeah. And are you up or not?
Now, if you substitute a ball accidentally and you make a stroke with that ball and you weren't allowed to, you do get a 1-stroke penalty, and you have to continue play with that ball for that hole. Let's say you put your ball in your pocket in the situation. You didn't lose the ball. Let's say you put your ball and you pull out another ball, you place that ball down on the green and you putt with that ball. Well, that's a penalty actually.
Right.
And you would still play with that ball to finish out the hole, and you would incur a 1-stroke penalty.
What's the reasoning on that? Because, most places, we only use a 1-ball rule, for major tournaments or national championship. But what's the reasoning behind that? Because if you're playing the same ball, right? Why would it matter?
Oh, you're referring to the 1-ball rule versus I was thinking more like somebody puts down the ball they like to putt with versus one they don't like to putt with.
Right.
Yeah. When you're playing the 1-ball rule, which is even in the local rules that we have for the 1-ball rule, which is designed for only premier golf, the highest level of play. The 1-ball rule is supposed to be put into effect. I suppose for your average player, there would not be any difference. It's a rule that's been on the books forever, though. Why they have that there? I'm sure at some point there was something in the rules that happened that occurred that made the ruling body think that it probably had to do with, let's just say, cheating or
mm-hmm.
And I hate to use that. I hate to use that word as a rules official, cheating, but it does happen.
Right.
And something happened that they needed to enforce something with not being able to put in another ball.
Tim, I'll answer that question for you. I had numerous times where people ask if they can use a putting ball. And I finally got to the point where I asked, what's the difference? And they say, because it's a brand new ball. There's no scuffs. There's no dirt marks. There's no imperfections that could happen within that hole. Let's say you hit the cart path, right? And it scuffs up your ball. And now you're on the putting green. Well, if it rolls over that scuff, it could direct it one way or the other. But a putting ball, it's almost brand new. So there's nothing that's going to interfere with it. And that's where I was like, okay, that explains why the rule is you have to use that same ball throughout the hole.
Right.
And I had to clarify that. It was probably my second or third season as director, to clarify it for a couple of rounds that you have to use the same ball throughout the hole. And then after you hole out, then you can decide to change the ball or not. But that's where we got really into making sure you mark the ball and let your playing partners know. But I mean, that's what I was told was the reason why this guy wanted to do a putting ball. And then it was the one that was, I think TaylorMade did it, where it was half one color and half the other.
Right.
Where you could see it roll down better. Yeah. But he didn't like to hit with it because it confused him when it was spinning in the air.
But did you tell him he's not that good anyway? So
I know I was a new director. I had to be nice about it. But that's the reason why, is so that they don't have a ball that.
Yeah, I see that. I get that a little bit.
Golfers, they try to take advantage of the best they can whenever they can.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense because, that putting ball thing always seems to be the one that pops up.
Yeah, that just kind of makes me wonder, on a different level. Us amateurs, we may use the same ball over 18 holes or 6 holes or whatever until we lose it. Or like Chris says, we scuff it up on the cart path or whatever. I wonder how many balls a professional uses over the course of a round.
3.
Are they changing the ball every hole, or are they just playing the same ball all the way through?
I heard Tiger switches his ball every 3 holes.
That's. I mean, he can do it. They're free for him. So
right.
And I guess when you have a swing speed like that, and you're really compressing that ball, over time, over that many hits, I'm sure it does have it takes some of the performance out of the ball. Sure, it does. It has to.
I think that'd be a question we need to ask, Mr. Jaspers or our high champ flight guys, Mr. Kim, the Minnesota director.
Yeah. Matt Foch.
Yeah, we need to ask them how many times they switched or when they switched the ball. Because I think that's as close as we're going to get to professional, but to the point where they still have to buy their own golf ball. And I think that makes a big difference. If they have to buy their own box of golf balls, they're not going to switch it every 3 rounds because they can just give it away to a kid and get a free box at the end of the round.
Right.
So I think that might make a little difference. But once I see that a ball, in my personal opinion, once I see that a ball, I don't feel like I want to play with it anymore, I still keep it and I use it as a fun round ball, so I'm not using a good ball. Or if it's real bad, I'll just put it in the hitting bay and just smack it around there. Because I don't need to know where it goes at that point. I just need to know if I'm making good contact and go from there. But if we want to get that question answered truly, I think we need to go to as close to professional as we can without knowing that they get golf balls for free.
Yeah, I had a champ flight player in D.C. a number of years ago. His name was Kelly Holiday. He was in the military. He was in the old guard. And he told me one time he buys 24 balls a year.
Jeez.
That's it.
Wow.
So, I mean, and obviously he was obviously a good player. But 24 balls, I would probably go, I mean, even when I was playing pretty well, I'd probably go through 24 balls in probably 3 months.
Yeah. It's a good guess. I'd agree with that.
Well, I'll tell you, Dick's had a special on my golf ball that I just bought 2 weeks ago. They had a 48 pack for 40% off.
There you go.
So maybe I'll test this theory and I'll change mine and we'll see if my scores improve. Because I got a lot of golf balls to go through right now. I still had some left over from this past year. So I probably have 60 of what I play right now.
There you go. What ball do you play?
Yeah. I have a Max Fly that I prefer. Yeah. Okay. So right now it's a Max Fly. It's called the Max Fly Straight Fly. Sounds like, it's supposed to go a little straighter. So that's what I play. It's not a very soft golf ball, but I hit it pretty well. So I'm happy with it.
Well, to me, a ball is just like a putter, right? I mean, you got to find one that you like and that feels good for you. And from what I understand, when they talk about feel, it's not necessarily feel; it's about sound.
Yep.
And the spin and how it reacts on the green and all those other things. So if you got a ball that works for you, use it.
That's right.
I was dealing with that at the beginning of 2023, and it's not an easy process to go through, especially if you're not going through a ball fitter. And it's very expensive to go through that testing by yourself. I'll tell you that much. Especially trying to find courses that just allow you to buy a sleeve of them. That that's always the best. But when you can't find anyone with a sleeve and you're having to buy a whole box, and then you don't like it, it can get very, very painful at some point.
That's why you need good kids at Christmas too to give you golf balls.
There you go.
That's it. Yeah.
So Roger, I got one other one. It's kind of a strange one. It happened on the PGA Tour, and I didn't see it. I just kind of read an article about it where I think it was Colin Morikawa and Matt Fitzpatrick were playing against each other, and I think Colin's caddy wrote some things from a green, slope or what have you. When they were doing the practice round, he wrote them down on the back of their card. And apparently somebody questioned him about it, and he got penalized for it. How does that actually work?
Right. So I'm glad you brought this up because really, I did this a few times during last year's sessions talking about local rules. And I always wanted to make a disclaimer, and I still might in 2024 before we talk about the rules, that anything I talk about is with regard to the rules and that there are no local rules in play. But what you're asking me is something that was a local rule. And a lot of these local rules are things that we see on TV that do apply to the professionals. And what happened with Colin is called Model Local Rule G11, which restricts the use of green reading materials and how those are used throughout a round. But before I even go into that, and I'm just this is just general knowledge for, you and your listeners. So we all know there's the rules of golf, which is there's basically 25 sections to the rules of golf. Then within the rules of golf, there's committee procedures. And those are the model local rules is section 8 of that. And there are 13 model local. And then within the model local rules, there's like this one, G11, which deals with restricting the use. There's 11 different situations that are presented within that local rule. Another one, G12, has 12 situations. Section G has 12. So there's all these other rules within the rules that we hardly ever even talk about because there's so many of them, and then they're all called the model local. So within this one that happened with Colin, so he used, prior to the round, he used some sort of gauge on the putting green to determine slope. Mm-hmm. And, slope of how the ball is sloping on greens. He used an actual, like a physical gauge. And that's okay to do prior to the round. You can do whatever you want.
Right.
And then within the model local rules are this rule. It's a rule that doesn't apply to us as amateurs, but if you put this rule into effect, it restricts the use of what aids you can use. And that even means the little book that the players can carry around. And I just wanted to read you something. It's to ensure that players and caddies use only their eyes and feel to help them read the line of play on the putting green. And in order to ensure that, the committee may further restrict the use of green reading materials by requiring players are limited through their round to using only the yardage book that has been approved for use in competition. And that includes not being able to use notes and calculations and things that they may have gotten from like a tool like Colin did. So let's say he had this tool on the putting green, and I don't know what kind of balance tool he used, but let's say it was something like he knew that if it was every 3 feet of slope on the green translated to 1 inch of break in the ball on the putting green. Now, if he just remembered that in his head, that would have been okay for him to use that knowledge that he got from that tool. But once he transferred that knowledge and put it down on his green reading materials, on his little book, like he wrote down, okay, 3 feet equals 1 inch, that's where the problem lay. And that's what happened with Colin. And remember, I'm just using an example here. I'm not exactly sure what gauge or he used, but he transferred this knowledge and actually wrote it down in his little yardage book. And when he referred to that and like used that to calculate, that's where he got into trouble and a penalty was incurred. If he just remember it and memorize what it is, that's okay. And that's using your own knowledge just stuck in your head. But when you write things down like that, that's where it wasn't okay for Colin. So that's what happened to him. And that's how he got penalized.
I kind of liken that to, I don't know if you know about the aim point process of putting. So I've been through the training, and it's all based on feel.
Okay.
And so like, you stand, with your feet straddling your ball, and then you go about halfway in between the ball and the hole and stand, and you just kind of feel the slope, and you kind of give it a gauge. I think it's 1 to 3 or 1 to 5. And from that point, then you go back to your ball and you hold your hand out with the number of fingers that the feel was, and then put that up against the stick, and then you go to the outside of those fingers, and that's your aim point. That's really kind of the same thing, but you're doing it from memory, and you don't necessarily have to write it down, even though that they have books for that tells you that process as well.
Yeah, and that's all for memory, you said, though, right?
Yeah.
That sounds like that would be okay.
Right.
And even in the book, it does say that that local rule is really intended for only the highest levels of competition. And even our 1 ball rule, it actually states it for for the same thing, the highest. So I know we use the 1 ball rule and we have a good reason to use it. But I'm actually kind of surprised that we use it. And I know we just instituted it. Really, I think it's only been a couple of years now that we've used the 1 ball rule. But it does say it's for the highest levels of competition. But I just want to, caution your listeners and all that a lot of what we see on TV is due to local rules. And we just got to be careful when we're, maybe telling somebody else, well, I saw this on TV. It could have been a local rule that was in effect.
Right. We also use the no green reading devices as well, and that's for every tournament too. But, at some point, there's guys that have played the courses over and over and over again that had those notes from how many times they played it.
So I don't get to play with the champ flight guys, but do you guys have players that actually use like the yardage books and notes and stuff?
Oh yeah.
You do?
I do. Yeah.
Interesting. Yep.
And Roger, I'm not talking about anybody's game here at all. But I know people from champ flight all the way to D flight that use it.
Huh.
And that's, you do what you got to do. But to me, sometimes it's information overload. You're probably not good enough to even have to worry about it, right? So, does it really matter for a C flight player a 10-yard difference? Probably not.
Yeah. Yeah, just think pace of play and all that. Yeah. We got to be careful. Yeah.
Yeah. But I won't tell anybody they can't do it. You do what
right.
you want to do. If it's in the rules, but for me, I obviously I don't play very much anymore, but I take, if it's car path only, I take a bunch of clubs. I look at it. Okay. It looks like 150 yards. Here's the club I'm using. It's if it's 140, great. If it's 160, great. I'm going to hit it 150 yards, hopefully. And I'll be somewhere in the middle.
Got it. Yep.
Yeah. I was just going to say, I think the best thing that's ever happened to me was I lost my rangefinder and I decided to not replace it and only go with the GPS middle of the green. And that's all I did all last year. And sometimes you hit it a little long, like you said, sometimes you hit it a little short, but as long as you're on the green and you're putting for birdie, that helps your score a lot.
Yeah. And look what it did to your handicap. Yeah. Try not to think so much.
It takes the thinking out of it.
Right.
Well, Roger, thank you so much for jumping on, and look forward to a regular contributor again, as we pick this thing up.
Yes, sir. Glad to do it again. Our first tournament for the Tidewater Tour is towards the end of February, so I'm going to try to get some rounds in before then, get some practice in, and I'm looking forward to it.
Sounds good.
Appreciate it, guys.
All right, you take care and get better soon.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Bye-bye.
Yep.
Well, Chris, it was good to talk to Roger again. Kind of miss talking to him. After you talk to somebody on a regular basis for so long, and then you don't talk to him for 3 months, it was good to hear his voice.
Yeah, he's a big part of what makes our podcast special. And I know people have come up and said that, having him on there has clarified a lot of rules. And it'll be nice to have him, back on for this season.
Yeah, and he always gives us good information. Sometimes, you jump down a rabbit hole, like he was talking about all the different, model local rules that nobody ever really knows about because there's so many of them that sometimes don't even pertain to us as amateurs.
Right. I was laughing inside when he kept going, it's off of this rule and this rule and this rule. It's like, Jesus, how many, let's make golf easier for everybody.
Exactly. Well, I think over the last few years, let's just say the last 4 or 5 years, I think they've tried to make the rules a little bit easier to understand, a little bit easier, to make the game more fun. Just like, for example, the idea that you had with, if there's a club up by the green and your ball hits the club, it's not your fault that some knucklehead left his clubs there. You're not trying to hit that. You're trying to put the ball in the hole.
Right. Right. And when I saw that, I thought it was pretty cool to see. And I just wanted, I mean, I knew it was legit. It's from USGA, but, you know, growing up, everyone was like, you don't want to put your clubs there. You don't want to have them there. And it,
Right.
you know, it makes you worry. But now to be able to clarify that, it's been nice.
So looking forward to having him back on again in February. But, you know, as you know, the first tournament's 3 days away. And if you're not ready, you better get ready pretty quick.
Yeah, it's here before we know it. And I believe it's a pretty big field for that event. So it's going to be tough competition.
Yeah, it's sold out in Hilton Head. And, you know, they're like we talked last episode, there's a couple other tours that are having local events that week. And, you know, next week you and I are together again in Vegas. So it's going to be fun.
Yeah, I can't wait for that either. Hopefully the weather cooperates. Knock on wood. But you know me, I don't deal with the cold.
Or rain or heat or, you know.
Heat I'm okay with. If I can have some shorts on, I mean, I'll deal with it. But
80s with a slight breeze
and you
is
know,
perfect for you.
Rain isn't that bad because we've had our share of rain here. But when you're not prepared for it, it mentally threw me off. Okay, it was the one time on the biggest stage of the year and one of the best rounds I was having, and it just threw me off. But we learned from it.
Hey, you'll be all right. You'll be all right. And you know, while you're, if it is bad weather out in Vegas, you know, I'll be in the clubhouse or, you know, I'll run over to the casino for a couple of hours while you guys play out there in the rain
rubbing it in.
Or the cold.
Just rubbing it in. I see how it is. I'm going to text you for some coffee or something.
I don't know what you're talking about. Gotta have your phone off in the casino. You know, so, you know, at the end of the national championship last year already, right?
Right.
You know, we're hanging out and, you know, something came up. A tour director not to be named was wearing an ugly shirt. And we all had a good laugh about it. And we kind of came up with the whole idea of having a shirt contest with the winner winning free entry into national championship. You know, I know we've talked about it, you know, in the last couple episodes, but, you know, now that we're here, now the tournaments are getting ready to start, I think we should just go ahead and lay it all out for everybody so that they know. And, you know, from the first tournament all the way through August, anybody can participate in this as long as you're playing in a Golfweek sponsored event that you get points for. You have to be getting points for. Okay.
Correct.
Starting, you know, the first tournament of the year. You want to help break it down for everybody.
Yeah. So keep in mind, guys, this is going to be a legit competition we're having. I mean, the prize says for itself, but from January 6th, which is the icebreaker on the East Coast, all the way through August 31st, you will have a chance to enter in your unique / different shirt. But all entries must be received by Sunday, September 1st at noon. So even those guys, I believe we have a couple of regionals that weekend. I know the TPC one's that weekend, and then French Lick is also that weekend. So you have a chance to enter in a shirt those last couple days, but don't sleep on it because it'll be here and gone before you know it.
Right. Now the shirt, it must be the top layer. Okay, so it cannot be worn under anything such as a jacket or sweatshirt, and you have to be wearing it the entire round.
Yes. So if it's cold in your area and you're golfing and you want this shirt to be part of the competition, I suggest you layer up on the bottom. I don't know how that might affect your golf swing, but maybe you enter or maybe you wait and see throughout the year if you can enter it in. But as this competition starts getting the word around, it's going to get tough as the months go on.
Now, how are we gonna verify some of these things? So, number one, you must have a group picture. So you got to have a group picture with you and your playing partner. You also have to have an individual picture, and in both those pictures, you have to be wearing the shirt.
Yes, that is guaranteed. You also must upload the pictures to Facebook. Facebook only, and the description of the post must include the player's name, the local tour, the course you were playing at, and the date of the event. So again, player's name, local tour, course you're playing at, and the day of the event. And the National Tour's Facebook page must be tagged along with our contest hashtag. If you're not following the National Tour's Facebook page, I suggest you do so.
Yeah, we'll have all this stuff out on a website here in the next couple of days with the hashtag and everything else, so that everything's there, right? So everybody is on the same page. Now, each month, all entries will be voted on through Facebook, and the type of shirt that we're looking for, it's either a classic regional or state shirt. So for example, if you're from Texas like Chris, if you've got a unique Texas-based shirt to wear, or a Southeast shirt that kind of depicts the Southeast region or the state of Texas, or let's just say, a shirt that depicts South Carolina, or the Southeast region of the United States. So, and again, now you don't necessarily have to be from that area to wear the shirt.
That's correct. If you're from New York and you find a shirt with a bunch of cactuses on and you want to enter that one in, by all means, show us that shirt. We're looking for something that is, like Tim said, unique, but also maybe out of your box, a shirt that you probably would never wear, but you want to enter in. I would definitely start looking and seeing what you can find.
So there's going to be 8 monthly winners, right? So we got January through August, so there'll be 8 monthly winners. Each of the monthly winners will win a free shirt, a free Golfweek shirt. Okay? Now, in September, all 8 monthly winners will then go head-to-head in a March Madness bracket-style competition that'll go on for 3 weeks. And ultimately, the winner of that bracket-style competition will win free entry into national championship.
Yeah, so keep an eye out or keep an ear out for a special episode so that me and Tim are ranking the top 8 winners, 1 through 8, and getting that bracket set up. And then you'll go to the Golfweek Facebook page, and that's where you, the listeners, will vote on each winner. And as the days go on, we'll have the winners compete against the other winners in the bracket style until we have our final champion at the end of September with their trip or their entry fees to the national championship paid for.
Yes, it's going to be fun. So understand the only ranking that Chris and I are doing are the final 8. So everybody on Facebook is going to be voting for each monthly winner and each weekly winner once we get into the bracket style competition. This is a chance for our listeners and Golfweek members and their families, to really get involved and engage the brand and have fun with us on Facebook.
Yes, and I think what the more important thing is, make sure you're tagging the Facebook page, because if you're not, we may never even see it, and you won't have a chance that month to participate. So definitely, tag that Facebook page, enter in as many times as you like, and hopefully you get picked as one of those top 8 and have a chance at winning a paid national championship.
Yeah, I can't stress enough, and Chris said it, you have to tag the national page, and you also have to use the hashtag, because that's how we're going to search. That's how we're going to search to find each monthly entry. So, and like I said, we'll have this post up on the website, and I know it'll come out in newsletters for everybody to see, so that once this weekend coming up is over, hopefully the entries will start flooding in.
I've got a couple shirts in mind in my closet. Am I allowed to enter?
Employees of Golfweek are not eligible to win.
I'll use mine as an example. Then you'll see it probably in Vegas. So I'll use mine as an example.
That'll be fun. Yeah. Well, by the way, you bring in Vegas. We've talked about it. It's going to be a great time. For and I talked. We weren't originally planning to go, but once we decided to go, I'm really looking forward to it, and it's going to be exciting. We're gonna have a good time.
Yeah, anytime that we all are able to get together, it's always a blast. I'm going to bring a little special guest with me in my suitcase for Gabe if he's listening, and I'll be rocking that all.
I wonder what that is.
All practice or warm up session. It might be hanging off my cart. We'll see. We'll see what we find.
All right, I'll be looking forward to it. So with the 2024 season starting, what is it that you're going to be working on for your golf game this year? Because last year at this time, you were in the C flight. You just been bumped to the B flight, and you were kind of down on yourself. It's going to be tough. It's going to be this. It's going to be that. And then you turn around and had a phenomenal year. So what are you going to be working on this year?
Yeah, I actually went back and looked at my goals that I set for 2023 and how they were yesterday in my Gin app. And as far as the golf goals are concerned, I didn't hit the mark. I hit 1 out of 3. As far as statistics wise is concerned, I did have win 2 events in B flight. I won 3. I wanted to be top 3 in points. I was number 2. I wanted to be top 50 at nationals, tied for 25th. So those were pretty easy, but I think those are a big spectrum goal that you have 16 tournaments throughout the year to win 2. You're going to sneeze out at least one. So those were good. But what I need to work on is my putting. And I set myself a goal for 28 to 30 putts per round, and I was having almost 34 putts per round. So if I take those 4 putts out, I'm below 80, 81, maybe in the 70s per round, which is phenomenal. Greens and reg, I wanted to be about 40%, which is about 7 to 8 holes per round. I was 34%. So I need to be more accurate on those approach shots, or even getting a chance to get those green and regs. But the fairways, I was very pleased with. I wanted to be above 60%. I was 63%. And, off the tee, I was really struggling. When I was at the end of C flight, getting into B flight, and I felt that my yardage wasn't going to be good enough. So I was overswinging, and I finally just decided to just hit the ball and figure out what I need to do with my second shot. I think I was more concerned about it at nationals, seeing that I would hit my tee shot and still be a high hybrid in, and people were using irons in, and they were 30, 40 yards ahead of me. And just, changing that mindset, was able to just stay in the fairway and having chances to get greens and regs and getting those 2 putts for pars. Right. So, putting and approach shots is what I'm going to work on this year. Kind of stay more focused on those and not try to have the hero shot every time, and just get it up there and right. Get a chance to be putting and not tripping.
Right. Well, here's the other way to look at it. Obviously, you always want to work on putting, always want to work on making sure that we're hitting the greens. But, if you work on your chipping, even when you miss a green and you get it close. Right. Yeah. If you get inside 3 feet every time, okay, you're still making par as opposed to bogey. Right. And I'll take that.
And I agree with you. And I think the second round at nationals really showed that, because if I was within 5 feet, I was making it. It was automatic. But those were for, maybe save par, maybe save bogey. I think that second round was the worst of the 3 rounds I had. And it was all because my approach shots weren't getting anywhere near chipping I was still having to pitch
Right.
or a short wedge shot in. I remember my playing partners were saying, if we were a 4-man scramble, we'd use your drive every time and your putting. We'd stay away from your second shot, not even let you hit, but
Right.
do the rest, because that's all I had that round. But I think those 5 feet and in putts that were going in kind of saved my position to be able to do what I needed to do.
And also being smart, making sure you miss in the right spot, right? Like you said, not trying to make a hero shot,
Right.
Make a smart decision. And if you miss, it's not going to hurt you, right? You're in a good position to recover, to get up and down. Maybe you're in a good position on the green, as opposed to being above the hole. Just things like that. But again, it takes practice, and I think the one thing with you is you're going to be playing all over the country this year, right? Literally, you're going to be playing all over the country. You're really going to see how courses play different depending on where you are in the country.
Yeah, it's going to be, maybe this will be a segment we have this year, because it's going to be a learning experience for me, but it's also going to be to see how mental tough I am, as far as, if I have to figure something out mid-round, how am I going to adjust to that and be able to complete a 2-day tournament with some of the best golfers out there, that are going to these regionals to play. Because you know me, I don't want to embarrass myself. I don't want to embarrass my tour. And I don't want to embarrass this podcast either. So I got to at least be in the top half.
Chris, that's my job. That's my job to embarrass podcasts. Don't take my job from me. But you played in Vegas before, right?
I did a while back. I think this is the first year that I became director. I played up there. I don't remember how it went, honestly. I just went out there to have a good time, to be honest with you. But now that I'm taking this golf game to the next level, I told my buddy last night when we were talking on the phone, because he was talking about iron fittings, and I said, I think my next iron fitting will be when I get to about a 5 handicap. Right now, I'm hovering around a 9-10. So, once you get into those single digits, it's a lot harder to get them lower than going from a 14 to an 11. So being able to maybe reach these goals might get me there. And that's a good motivation to be able to get that low and see what the future holds, at least in my golf bag's concern.
That goes back to, when we had the guy from Arcos on in this past fall. A double-digit handicapper, a 20 handicapper can drop strokes relatively easy, with some practice and some playing smart. But like you said, once you get down to that 9 area, trying to get it lower, the margin for error is small, right? And it's a lot harder. And so, that's where, dropping a stroke or two here on a putt, chipping the ball that just a little bit closer, making sure you're in the fairway, from 40% of the time to 70% of the time. That's where those things are really gonna show up.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is where it makes or breaks golfers, to being, if it's something that you want to be real competitive with, or you're okay with having fun, but still having low scores. And my competitive juices are flowing now. And I was real competitive in high school with the sports I played. So you better believe now that it's come back, it's going to be a lot. Let's put it this way. The Arizona guys better be scared, because I'm coming for all their tournaments I go visit.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing how you do this year. That's for sure. I'm looking forward to getting this thing rolling. We've got, we're 3 days away, and, you say it all the time, once the roller coaster gets started, I mean, it goes by really, really quick. So, we've got not just the icebreaker this coming weekend, we've got a couple local tours, and then really from there on out, I think we've got a tournament every weekend between now and the end of September.
Yeah, it's going to be nonstop. It's going to be fun. It's always a fun, crazy ride. especially for the directors, trying to get everything organized, make sure we get all the other stuff delivered on time and prepared for the tournaments. So it's going to be fun. I can't wait to get it started.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. All right, my friend, will you take care of yourself? And I'll see you next weekend.
Yes, sir. I can't wait. It's going to be fun. Be safe.
All right, take care. Chris, we didn't do it again.
What didn't we do?
We didn't say how to join the tour.
That's right. It's simple. All you need to do is go to amateurgolftour.net, click the Join the Tour button, and pay your local tours membership.
Thanks, Chris. Membership for 2024 is open, so register today to join the oldest, largest, and best amateur tour in the country.